Well, Texoma, we are officially halfway through November, so that means we are close to winter. So it is time to take a look at our 2023-2024 winter outlook for what we could be seeing this year. Now, we first have to start with taking a look at what is normal, or what are our averages for Texoma for this time of the year. When you take a look at the highs, they are usually in the mid to upper 50s for winter months from December through February, and then our lows usually range in the low 30s. And precipitation, usually a little over an inch to an inch and a half of precipitation throughout those months. Now, there are a lot of factors that do go into forecasting long-term wise. You can see each of these factors. These are just a handful of items that go into forecasting long-term, and each one of these terms is a different region of oceanic temperatures, but the one that's going to matter most to us is going to be ENSO, or in simpler terms, that ENSO is going to determine if we are in the La Nina or the El Nino. Now, we know we are in that El Nino because we do have those above average ocean temperatures off the coast of South America, which is going to have an influence over our winter pattern this year. And I spoke with Dr. Nielsen Gaiman about what that could mean for Texoma this year.
We're typically cooler than normal during an El Nino, but we've had global warming too, which is making things typically warmer than normal. So those two effects might cancel out. With a strong El Nino, we tend not to necessarily be quite as cold as we are in a weak or moderate one.
Now, Dr. Nielsen Gaiman did mention that we are dealing with a warmer globe. When you take a look at this is taking a look at our global temperature change. Those blues are cooler, those whites are normal, and then when we get into recently, those reds are well above average. You can see the past multiple years, we are very warm, so we are dealing with a much warmer atmosphere than compared to the past. Now, how are we going to approach forecasting this far into the future? Well, it's not a great skill, but we have tools that allow us to maybe get a peek into what could be possible for this upcoming winter. So we're going to take an approach known as analog forecasting, or in simpler terms, we're going to take a look at past weather patterns and compare them to today and see what's similar. You can see there are a couple years that stand out to us as to what lined up with what we saw this year from the late summer into the early fall. But the one we're going to focus on is going to be the year 1994. So now we're going to take a closer look and see what was 94 like. You can see those numbers are very identical, as well from August through September and into October, and the trends are very similar. So that is our best lead forecast for this upcoming winter. So what was the winter of 1994 to 95 like? Well, the big story is it's going to be those temperatures were above average while precipitation remained below average. Those blues represent below average, while those oranges, they represent the above average, and white, well, that's just right on par for average. So with that being said, we're going to kind of use 1994 and 1995 as our forecast for the upcoming winter. But we take a look at the upcoming winter outlook in terms of temperatures. Unfortunately, we're going to run above average, not escaping those warm temperatures. And as for precipitation, though, below average. And then snow, if you're like me and love snow, unfortunately, I do have bad news. We're going to call it a low chance, despite the El Nino favoring the chance for increased snow chances. And as for a white Christmas, well, it's looking very unlikely right now, but it's not impossible. It has happened before. But like I said, it's possible to forecast long-term like this, but it's very challenging. There are a lot of variables that go into it, but we have tools that allow us to take a look into the future and get an idea on what we could be seeing.